When I first started customizing my iPhone, I made the same mistake most people make. I thought customization meant wallpaper, widgets, and maybe a different icon color. But the more I looked into it, the more I realized Apple has turned the iPhone into something much deeper than that. Because the real customization on iPhone is not just how your phone looks, it is what your phone shows you, what it hides from you, what interrupts you, what is one tap away, and what can happen automatically without you doing anything. And once you see it that way, your iPhone starts to feel different. So instead of giving you a random list of cool settings, I want to walk you through the way I now think about iPhone customization and also show you exactly how best to do it. Because the best setup is usually not the one that looks the most dramatic. It is the one that makes your phone interrupt you less, display better information, and fit the way you actually live. The first thing that changed my mind was realizing that iPhone customization happened in stages. For years, the iPhone was basically fixed. You had rows of apps, a wallpaper behind them, and not much else. Then iOS 14 arrived, and suddenly the home screen was not just an app launcher anymore. Widgets came in, smart stacks came in, the app library came in, and for the first time, you could hide entire home screen pages. At the time, everyone focused on aesthetics. And honestly, that made sense. People were making beautiful layouts, custom icons, themed wallpapers, and minimalist setups. But looking back, the important change was not just that the home screen could look different, it was that the home screen could finally have a purpose. You could build one screen around information, one around work, one around fitness, or one that barely had anything on it. Then Apple added focus. And this is where customization stopped being mostly visual, because focus is not just do not disturb with a nicer name. At first I treated that way too. I thought, okay, this just silences notifications. But focus can decide which people get through, which apps can bother you, when it turns on, where it turns on, and what your phone looks like while it is still active. Then iOS 16 linked focus to the lock screen. And that is when the lock screen became way more important. Because now a lock screen is not just a wallpaper, it can be a mode switch. You can have a work lock screen with calendar and reminders, a personal lock screen with photos and fewer alerts, a fitness lock screen with activity widgets, a travel lock screen with weather, maps, or battery. And when you switch that focus mode, your lock screens can switch with it. That one idea completely reframes the lock screen. It is not the front cover of your phone anymore. It is the front door into a specific version of your phone. Then iOS 18 pushed this even further. It let you place apps and widgets in open spaces instead of forcing everything into the old top left grid. You could make icons larger, use dark icons, tint icons, and finally replace the flashlight and camera buttons on the lock screen. That sounds like a visual update, but the useful part is control. If you never use the flashlight from the lock screen, why should it live there forever? Maybe you want Shazam, maybe you want a shortcut, maybe you want a wallet action, a timer, a remote, or nothing at all. That is the pattern across current iPhone customization. Apple is not giving you unlimited freedom in the Android sense. It is giving you more structured places to make the phone yours. And the most underrated one is Control Center. I used to think of Control Center as that little panel for brightness, Wi-Fi, and the flashlight. Now it can be closer to a dashboard. You can add more controls, resize them, create multiple pages, and use supported third-party app controls. That means the app you use most do not always need to be open. The action can come to you. And this is where I think a lot of people miss the real opportunity. A good home screen helps you find apps. A good control center helps you avoid opening them. That is a very different kind of customization. So if you're building your own setup, I would start with the boring question first. What do I do over and over again? Not what looks cool, what do I repeat? Starting a timer, opening notes, scanning a document, turning on a hotspot, starting a workout, opening a specific playlist, controlling lights, running a shortcut. Those are the things that belong in Control Center, on the lock screen, behind the action button, or inside a shortcut. And this leads to the deepest layer of all, shortcuts. Shortcuts is where iPhone customization stops being about arranging things and starts being about behavior. Your phone can react to the time of day, location, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, battery level, NFC tags, charging, app opens, focus modes, workouts, and more. And the weird thing is, most iPhone users have this sitting on their phone and barely touch it. I get why shortcuts can feel intimidating, but you do not need to become a power user to get value from it. You just need one or two automations that remove a repeated annoyance. Turn on low power mode when battery hits a certain level, open your notes app when you arrive at class or work, switch a focus when you connect to your car, start a playlist when headphones connect, change settings when a certain app opens. That is not decoration. That is your phone adapting to your life. And once I saw customization this way, another category suddenly made more sense: accessibility. Most people skip accessibility settings because they assume it is not for them. That is one of the biggest mistakes in the entire settings app. Accessibility has some of the best everyday personalization tools on iPhone. Back tap can run actions when you double tap or triple tap the back of your phone. Per app settings can make one app use larger text, reduce motion, or change display behavior without changing your whole phone. Vehicle motion cues can make using your phone in a car more comfortable. Accessibility shortcut can put more important adjustments behind a triple click. These are not just accessibility features, they are ways to make the phone fit your body, your habits, and your environment better. That is customization in the most practical sense. Then there is the privacy layer. This is not the flashiest part, but it matters. You can lock apps, you can hide apps, you can control notification previews, you can change some default apps, you can decide what appears in search, suggestions, and on the lock screen. So app hiding is useful, especially for reducing clutter or adding a layer of privacy. That is the balance with iPhone customization in general. There is control here, but there are limits. And sometimes the limits are what keeps the phone usable. The best example is icon customization. Custom icons used to be the big iPhone customization flex. People used shortcuts to create theme icons before Apple offered more native styling. And that was fun, but it also came with problems. It really wasn't elegant to use. Now iOS gives you native dark icons, transparent icons, tinting, larger icons, open space placement, and a clear layout control. So the old custom icon workaround is less essential than it used to be. But here's the reversal. The feature that looks most like customization, icon tinting, is not always the one that improves your phone. Sometimes tinting makes everything looks cohesive, sometimes it makes apps harder to recognize. Sometimes a minimalist home screen makes your phone calmer, sometimes it hides the cues you relied on to remember things. So the goal is not to make the phone look customized, the goal is to make it work better for you. That is why I would build an iPhone setup in layers. First, clean the home screen. Keep only the apps and widgets you actually use daily. Move everything else to the app library. Do not give every app a permanent place just because it exists. Second, build one or two lock screens with a purpose. One for your normal day, one for work, study, sleep, travel, or fitness. Add widgets that answer questions you actually check. Third, fix notifications. This is probably the least exciting step, but it may have the biggest impact. Turn off alerts that do not deserve your attention. Use summaries where they make sense. Let important people and apps through. Be stricter than feels comfortable at first. Fourth, set up focus. Do not create 10 modes immediately. Start with one: work, sleep, or personal. Link it to a lock screen, decide who can reach you, decide which apps matter in that context. Fifth, rebuild control center. Put repeated actions there, not every possible control, just the things you reach for often. 6. Choose one hardware shortcut. If you have the action button, make it do something flexible. If not, use back tap or accessibility shortcut. 7th, add one automation. Just one, something simple enough that you will actually keep it. That setup will beat most heavily customized iPhones because it is built around behavior, not novelty. And that is the main thing I wish I understood earlier. The iPhone has become much more customizable, but not in one single place. It is spread across the lock screen, the home screen, widgets, control center, focus, notifications, shortcuts, accessibility, privacy settings, default tabs, and hardware buttons. That is why it can feel overwhelming. Your iPhone does not have one big customization app. It built a layered system over time. And newer versions will keep pushing the visual system and automation layer even further. So the complete guide is not about changing every setting. It is about knowing which settings are worth caring about. And for most people, the answer is simple. Make your phone calmer, make useful information easier to see, make repeated actions faster, make private things less exposed, and make your phone change with your routine instead of forcing you to manage everything manually. That is the version of iPhone customization that actually lasts. Not the setup that looks impressive for a screenshot, the setup that still feels useful 2 weeks later. If you enjoyed this video, watch this one next, give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more unique iOS content. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.